Well, good afternoon, everybody, or evening, or morning, or wherever you may be. My name is Dan McCormick, the host of the Greatest Salesman podcast. I like to call it Wisdom Wednesday. It's always great to be with you, and it's always great to be with the greatest salespeople in the world. This week, I have some fantastic, fun guests. If you're new to the show, we love your comments while we're live on Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, I get that. If you catch us at a later date on any of the podcast sites, certainly feel free to like the show, review the show. We love your reviews. Tell us what you like about the show. You can share it if you're live on Facebook. You can also go to thegreatestsalesman.com, which is our webpage, and pick up all of the past shows in blog form, in podcast form, however you like to view your greatest salesman thoughts and food for the day. There's Sharon over in Scotland. It's great to have Scotland in the house. Colleen, it's always great to have so many people that comment. And I must say that I have known my guests for several years, and it is always an honor to hear somebody's story and hear how their journey gets them in this chair. And so, Gene and Wen, it's great to welcome you. How are you guys today?
Awesome.
Thanks
so
for
great.
having us.
So excited for being excited the whole day today, waiting for this moment.
Indeed. Well, you guys look terrific, and you know you've been on the show. You've seen the show because you've had some of your friends on the show, and we've known each other. We've worked together for the last many, many years. And from a standpoint of a podcast and time and getting people a value proposition right out of the get-go, before we talk about some of those things about the greatest salesman and those scrolls and any other things on the journey that are fun for everybody, I wonder if you couldn't share maybe 3 things that have shaped your life or each and every day of your life. And I don't know if we discussed if we're each going to do 3 or if we're just one going to do 3.
You first. You first.
I'll be quick. I mean, I think it's, I think it's a common thread with most people that are success profiles. It's a work ethic. Without that, you don't have a place to begin. For me, it was servitude and contribution. And every day when I woke up as a young boy, it was always, what can I do to help, especially my parents and grandparents, because I know, as we've discussed before, I didn't come from a wealthy family, and that's an understatement. And I think vision, I always had a sense of dreaming and thinking beyond what I even thought was possible, and yet that other voice kind of said, no, it might be. So make that choice, make that decision.
I love that. I don't think anyone's ever said servitude and contribution that way, but that is just fantastic. And when we talk about the greatest salespeople in the world, when we talk about people that, I hand select people that I know, people that enjoy the scrolls, people that serve other people. You guys have done unbelievable things around the globe. What are 3 things that strike you when I ask you that question, Wen?
Well, I think it's a great question. I just loved it. And I reflect back, I think it's my life journey. The first, number 1, is there is a will, there is a way. Anything is possible. And I really contribute that concept from my parents, because growing up, my dad is entrepreneur. He's so smart. I just remember I was so young. He's there being so creative. He has his own first company, and he's doing well. He goes, I'm going to create another one. My mom said, you can have another company? He goes, go for it. And he went to the 3rd, to the 4th, became so successful. So in my mind, I said, wow, my dad is really a visionary and very brave and has a fighting spirit that if someone else can do it, I can do it too. And then I see it from my mom too, because, any business, there's always ups and downs. And my dad, after 4 companies, he lost everything overnight because he trusted the wrong person. So we were forced to move from a small home to a big home to a little home. We went bankrupt. And that was my mom really stood up and fight against all the challenges and turn my family around. So I witnessed my mom, that when she set her mind to it, she can do amazing things. And that's what she has taught me. So that's really the number one, I believe.
Love it.
Number two is persistent, because really this life is never about sprint, how quickly you become successful. And the winner are those who last until the end. It's the marathon. So I learned through this journey, because my personal up and down, there's one moment I almost quit because I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So really grateful for my mentor, that Betty, that showed me this wisdom. As long as you last until the end, persist, I will persist until I succeed.
Right out of the book.
Right out of the book.
Yes. Number three
Okay.
is later on, we are in the almost, he's going to be 70. I'm going to be 68. At this stage of my life in the last 10 or 15 years, it's a true enlightenment, is that love, motivated by love, because there's nothing else is more important than love. When we have love, we can achieve anything. So that's unconditional love. Yes.
So many people chiming in already, loving your comments and whatnot. It's really great to have two people come on. I've had this a couple times now. It's a lot of fun. And I just love when you pull from the book, because it's not like Og Mandino didn't know that wasn't a masterful world for him, because coming from the alcoholic world and being beat down and downtrodden and living a life of hell for 10 years and turning his life around, working for W. Clement Stone and going into an area where no one could sell insurance successfully, and he did it. And how did he do it? By persisting, changing his paradigm. And so I love when you talk about, I love it when people talk about their parents, because I think that you can go one of two ways. You can find them as the greatest mentors and teachers with principle of hard work and energy and honesty, integrity, all that. And in my case, I had parents that were divorced at an early age and didn't really see that out of my dad because he was gone. And so I had to do it through my mom and my grandfather and my grandparents and so on. So I love that so very much. And so when did personal development become part of your life? Gene, I'll have you go first.
Actually, I saw a book, Think and Grow Rich, on a train going into New York. And of course, I was too shy to ask the individual who was reading it, but it just caught my eye. Think and grow rich. I can become rich by just thinking. Sounds like my kind of game, you know? And I bought that book, and it was, I think, next to the Bible, the most life-changing book I've ever read. You know, I know
that is a cool story.
Yeah. Anybody who hasn't read it, we all need to read it. This is something I believe we should be giving children in like junior high school.
For sure. How about you, Wen?
Wow, there's so many.
Do you remember, like I know the story about your mom and you coming, maybe tell the story about when you came to America, you know, just those few dollars that were put in your hands. Maybe tell that story. And then when you got to America, you had this work ethic, but when did a personal development book type thing start showing up in your life and your mind?
That's a great question. Even
I think it was empty. It passed out.
no, you know what? In the beginning, that's such a great question. Even at work, you know, the mind shift is all about our mind. I remember when I first came to U.S. because I experienced our family went from rich to poor. We lost everything. Yeah. So it's a fear of being poor again, fear of losing everything like that. So that's when I was at work, I gave everything 70 hours a week, and then I pass out. Even though I was a corporate controller, I was making $5,000 a month. And that was 30 years ago, okay? And then my husband at that time was making good money too. But my mind, I was forever in the fear, scarcity, not enough, panic. So I remember every while we get paid every 2 weeks, I will look at my checkbook. I will calculate, oh my God, in 2 weeks, I'm going to get paid, but I got to pay Shaw and Kevin, the education, the food and the school, the grocery, and I'm there like put myself in such a fear. I'm not gonna have enough money. I'm not gonna have enough money. So when I go shopping, I carry the coupon, double coupon day. That's the only time I will go shopping, even though my income at that time wasn't bad at all between the two of us. It was a mentality that afraid of I'm gonna lose everything. There's not enough, okay? So it was absolutely switched to when I joined New Skin. Gradually, my mind started to change. And listening, you know what? I would say the first 2 audio tapes I learned from Bill Hyman. He's no longer here.
Right.
The 2 audio tapes changed my life. One is not how, is why, and prospecting and recruiting. But it's from that tape, even though it's related to New Skin, but there's so much spirit, mind, your thought. And then I remember my shift from day one. I all of a sudden say, wait a minute, I am the CEO of my New Skin global business, even though I just started. All right, I am gonna have the best top 15 people that I'm gonna recruit and teach and train. So shifting from lack and not enough to abundant. That was, and now I look back, is that audio tape. And then from there, through the New Skin journey, throughout the mentors from Dr. Wang and Betty, and through OTG, you always talk about personal growth, and you start reading everything to do with the mind. And then there was an enlightening event that we went together on the Millionaire Mind Training by T. Harv Eker.
There you go.
Wow. That is life-changing. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
That's when I thought, whoa, that's when I totally shift from being lack to abundant, being fearful to faithful. Yes.
Love that.
That was many years ago.
From fearful to faithful. And I'm looking at when you're talking about having that fear, when you came to America, how much English did you speak?
Zero.
Hello and goodbye.
Zero.
Wow. Hello and goodbye. Well, and then you go to school and you're working. And I remember there was a story about how you had to kind of ration food even for yourself, if I recall. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And that's also, that's hard one. I still feel the pain.
Yeah.
Because, you shouldn't ask that.
He's a good interviewer.
Yes. So, my mom gave me, because when my family went through that tragedy, my mom gave me her life saving of $5,000 and tell me, take this money and go to the United States. Do whatever it takes to become successful. And she taught me one thing, never beg, okay?
Wow.
For this, be financially independent, because my mom had never earned money, never worked, is always begging from my dad a monthly salary. And then she pack it away and save it away. And that's where she come up with the $5,000. So, and I made up my mind when I came here, and I picked the least expensive school in United States, which is Binghamton. We are in New York right now. Binghamton is 4 hours away. And that is a place that no one wants to live. It's a cold and freezing little town. Right now, they only have one shopping mall, Old Day Mall, all right? The reason I picked that one is because the tuition is only $900 a semester. And I have $5,000. And I said, I am, because it was such a heavy burden for me to take our family's life saving with me to United States. So I say, okay, I am gonna complete my master's degree in accounting as fast as possible. And when I finish my degree, I'm gonna give half the money back to my mom, because my family needed money. So I limit myself for $2,500, that including my food, school, tuition, everything. So I had to take at least 20 credits a semester so that I can complete in 3 semesters. So I limit myself to only live $5 a week so that I can have enough money at the end to give $2,500 back to my mom. How do I live with $5 a week? Say, okay, there is a will, there is a way.
With a why.
Yes. So I found with heavy workload, I don't even school. I have so many credits. I don't even understand English. I got to study, prepare so that I can understand what the teacher was talking about. And in the meantime, because I have no money, right? So I got to survive. So I find a job in the cafeteria. I picked the cafeteria because they feed me and will work every other day. So that I will work so that they will feed me that day. So that's how I did it. I would eat every other day.
Wow.
So that I can live on $5.
So heartfelt. Oh boy, that is emotional to walk down that path and share with everybody. And I think it's appropriate because everybody has a story. Og comes from alcoholism. Other people come from coming to America with little resources as you had. And it's the why, it's the dream. And so, Gene, when you look back on your life, early days, you mentioned your parents, you mentioned the work ethic. And I know that, where do you think your why developed?
Honestly, I think it came from lack, because when I was being brought up in my grandparents' home, we didn't have a home. We didn't own a car. We didn't really have any money. You're going to get me emotional now. My grandfather had 9 children. And he would grow as much food as he possibly could to save money. He never owned a car either. And I remember as a young boy, he was cutting out cardboard to put in his shoes because the soles had been so worn down. And that's why from an early age, I went to work. My first job was a shoe shine boy. I'll never forget it. It was an old Italian barber in the neighborhood. And I asked him, I said, if I come in here and shine shoes for your customers, if I charge 15 cents, I'd be more than happy to give you a nickel and I'll keep the dime. And he actually turned to me and he said, I think you're selling yourself short. I think you can get a quarter. I said, wow, I mean, it's big money, right? And he said, you know what? You can keep the whole 25 cents. And I would just go home and give my mother that money, because every day it was a struggle. And then we would drive out here to where we live now, because I had one uncle who owned an automobile, and I would see things that just blew my mind. I mean, we were 6 of my mother's sisters, and her 2 brothers, my grandparents, my younger brother, my older sister, kind of crammed into one house. And we would drive out here, and I would see fancy cars and gorgeous homes with decks and pools and tennis courts. And I'd say to my father, Pop, what do these people do out here? He'd go, well, they must work really, really hard. And my dad worked at a grocery store, an Italian supermarket. And so, Pop, you work very hard. We don't have a fancy car. We don't have a pool. And, as time goes on, as time went on, it just worked on me. And I said, someday I want to live out on Long Island. And I just never let go of that. And I think that's the crossroad where a lot of people just throw in the towel. If it's outside the comfort zone in any way, shape, or form, they let it go. But if we think about it, I mean, we turn the clock all the way back. When we first tried to walk, was that uncomfortable? Of course.
Yeah.
But we mastered it. How about roller skating, riding a bike? All of that stuff is uncomfortable. So if you're getting uncomfortable about a dream, man, I think you're on the right track. Just keep going until you realize it.
You know, Bill Toth just chimed in. I'm going to ask my producer to put that up on the screen here. 22 years of traveling the world with you, and he had never heard the shoe shine story. Isn't that something?
Too much emotion.
I mean, we do the podcast to draw out of the journey. And if I were to ask you candidly, my guess is you wouldn't have it any other way.
It was a blessing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
It was a
trade
blessing.
my childhood. Yeah. We were so rich in culture, Dan. I remember my one cousin Tommy, who also lived in the same, my grandmother's house. We would literally race home from school, and as we turned the corner, the aromas of whatever my mom and her sisters were making, we just couldn't wait to get home for either Italian cookies or they were making homemade pastas. And I honestly wouldn't trade it for the world. I feel my kids are at a loss, quite frankly, for the culture that I was
Your
brought up.
abundance.
They had a pool, they had air conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's interesting as we do the podcast each and every week, we get to hear from people all over the world. And right now we're sitting in a time in history when maybe it's the greatest bull market in the history of direct selling. I mean, the entrepreneurial world has just blowing up like crazy. And I'd be curious on if any one of our listeners today or 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years from now, if they're listening to the podcast, if they met you or they met a 19-year-old like me when I started, or they meet someone that didn't speak any English, what kind of a recruiter would they be? And I know that it's an amazing thing to think about why this is. As one of my good friends who passed away years ago, Erling Schroeder, said, it's the last bastion of free enterprise. It's like the greatest opportunity for average people to do extraordinary things. You've done extraordinary things. You've built a team around the globe. Hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe it's billions of dollars in your organization that has been produced. I wonder if you talk about how do you keep going? You said your age a little bit earlier. Do you just still love the journey every day?
Absolutely.
It's a challenge.
It's the journey. Nu Skin becomes my life. It's part of me now. And it's so fulfilling because when I look back, what Nu Skin has helped me to grow into who I am now. And I'm just so grateful because Nu Skin, we are able to live the life that we truly enjoy. It's the freedom of choice, and also help everyone that we encounter every single day, either on Zoom or in person. The passion, I think I love it when you interview Sharon.
Lecter.
What
an interview.
I just love, and then she's so enlightening. Talk about in our life and also through Nu Skin, we learned, and then through the Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, we finally learned to look within to find out who we are. Try and know what our definite purpose is, because that is so crucial. With our definite purpose, we'll be drifted, just like within the devil, right? If you know your purpose, you are grounded. You will never be drifted because you know what you do. What are you here for? So it's with that purpose, you know for sure, but with passion that will give you the commitment. So this commitment is life, and our purpose totally aligned with Nu Skin's platform and Nu Skin's culture, and then we love what we do. So that becomes a commitment for us for life.
Yes. So Gene, I remember I reached out to you guys a few months ago, and I said, look, someday I'm going to have you on the Greatest Salesman podcast. You guys are just so amazing. And I think your response, maybe it was the both of you, something to the effect of, Well, we're on scroll number whatever. We're almost done. So let's shift if we can. For those that are watching for the first time, I'm Dan McCormick, the podcast host and the ambassador to the Augmentino Company. It's always great to welcome people. It's great to hear your story. And I'm just curious, give me this feeling of where were you when this book first showed up for Eugene, and how are the scrolls going for you? Because everybody has a story. That's not an easy task. Og gives you 75 to 1 odds at the beginning of the book that you're going to do that. And I remember you said, give us a few months. And so give us an update on where you're at with the scrolls and how it's going and how you feel about it.
Well, I love the challenge that he gives you, 75 to 1, because I know I can relate a lot to your personality. I mean, right then, because years ago, I had actually read The Greatest Salesman, but I read it from cover to cover. I didn't follow directions. I'm the type of guy, if I get a barbecue and it comes with instructions, I'm not even going to look at them. I'm going to figure this out on my own. But the right thing to do is to do those scrolls 3 times a day. And there's just so much, that we draw upon. And, Wen and I were talking about this earlier, because a lot of what is in that book, unknowingly, we have applied. And I think that's why we were able to see some of the success that we've seen. But things like, I will persist until I succeed. All right? If you just don't give up, whatever your mission is, you're going to arrive. I will act now. Okay. There's another one. I'm paraphrasing here. I think it's your action is the food and the drink that will nourish your business. I may have left a few words out, but that's it. It all comes down to action, and your action will determine your value in the marketplace. We all get paid not because we speak good English or we came from a poor family or a rich family. We get paid by performance, and I love that. I never was the type of person that wanted somebody to tell me, well, you're worth, $150,000 a year. How do you know what I'm worth? Right. So I don't think anybody has the right to make that decision other than me, other than all of us. But we read almost every day from that book, and we bounce around a lot now since we've gone through reading it 3 times, morning, right after our midday meal, and right before we went to bed. And I challenge anyone to listen to people like Dan and people who have read that book, because it is life-changing if you're open to it, and you can discipline yourself a little bit to actually do what he tells you to do.
That is the ultimate word when it comes to reading the scrolls. You better be disciplined, right? And Wen, how do you feel about it? Because I know that, people just hear me talk about it in every walk of life, no matter where I go. I just talk about it because it just happened to be the book put in my hands. I'm a 19-year-old young man, and boom, it shows up. And here it shows up in your life. And tell us how you feel about reading the scrolls and what it's done for you.
Oh my goodness. I'm like you, Eugene. When I first read it, I didn't know. I didn't appreciate. I read it. Okay. It's like that. We know everything. Now, as we age, we become more humble. So, and then we couldn't find that book. And we want to really thank you, because it was at least a year ago on this show. And then you talk about the Greatest Salesman and how it impacts. So we said, well, we got to get that book again. We're going to do it. And when I first opened the book, I got chills, the emotion, the grateful. And I actually wanted to call you to thank you.
Wow. That's
how profound it is, just from day one. And after reading all that, and it's really, I think that as many people say, The Greatest Salesman, that title is misleading. It's not about being a salesman.
It should be the greatest life.
Yeah, being the greatest genius, whatever you want to describe. My favorite is, I'm emotional when I say it. I'll greet this day with love in my heart. Yeah. And I will share it. It will grow and warm the earth. That totally aligned with my purpose. It's all about love. Yeah. There's nothing else. But that love is the agape love.
God love.
God love. I remember you interview, I don't remember who he is, the guy about this Greet this day with love. It was very deep. I said, oh my God, that's really what matters. And then when you really experience that divine love, nothing else matters. Because with love, we can open people's heart. With love alone, we can succeed. With love alone, anything we'll ever want in our life will come easily and effortlessly.
It is such a unique thing for people that might be corporate America or have some type of job. And, maybe it's just like they check in, they sit at a desk and, there's not that challenge of growth. But when you read, I will greet this day with love in my heart, it's a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And I mean, you for those that have watched the show, I literally have men that will text me and just say, I love you. I love you. I mean, the people are now comfortable by saying it because we're saying it with philia, the brotherly love that we feel for one another to share the journey. I love the emotion that you bring to the podcast today because I think we're a world that's starved for more love. And all of our friends that are watching today, from Melbourne to Scotland, all across North America, and people that are commenting, there's Ta'afuilicia, my favorite name in the world to say, and sometimes I do it right, Ta'afuilicia. I will greet this day with love in my heart. Now there's Dominic, and Dominic's quote right here too, because you guys are bringing it up. It's the best book I've ever read to polish my character. Wow. How good is that? So let's talk about your journey after I pause just for a second, because I got to do the Augmandino commercial, because everybody knows that as the ambassador, we're sponsored by the Augmandino Company. The Augmandino Company is a coaching company. We're here to coach, train, guide people. And certainly we now have a program to help people be more effective on Facebook. It's called habitfinder.com/social VIP. If you want to get out of the ocean or out of the pond and into the ocean where there's billions of people, if you want to have more of that Augmandino feel of connecting with people with the right kind of love, the right kind of patience, the right kind of understanding, you want to go to habitfinder.com/social VIP. Cracking the social code is a big deal. We live in a world of social. And if you've got the right systems and the right online programs dialed in, you can absolutely crush it when it comes to your effectiveness of being a communicator, a connector, and a new friend for people, and fill your funnel with that program right there. Get Cracking the Social Code. It's $297. The Augmandino Company will teach you, coach you, and train you on how, when, and why to post, when to post, why not to post, why to comment, why not to comment, etc. Because we have a white hat hacker in the house who's a client at the Augmandino Company who understands all those algorithms and all that fun stuff. So always fun to do the commercial because, like you said, the book title might be mistitled, but it's not mistitled. It's just like, there's nothing to do with sales in there except Hafid doing his spiritual quest to try to marry the daughter of Pathros, if you will. But I wonder when and Gene, how many times do you think you've flown from the United States back to Asia, Taiwan, where all your business leaders are? How many times have you been back? Guess.
I couldn't even guess. I mean, we're probably going 3, 4, 5 times a year, and that's over for Wen a 30-year period or so.
Wow.
For me, the last 15 or 16 years, a lot.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, for the first 10 years before I met Eugene, I was committed to help our team 6 times a year, every other month.
Every other month.
And let me say, for Wen, at that particular point in time, the money really wasn't there. So for those of you who have flown from where we live to when we pull up to where we need to go is about 30 hours, and you're doing that in economy. By the time you get there, you're crippled, and you need 2 or 3 days just to change and adjust to the time zone.
Yeah.
My hat's off to her. She was actually one of the individuals very inspirational to me when I first heard Wen, because she got to Team Elite long before I did.
And you've spoken in front of a lot of big crowds over there. What's the most amount of people you think you've spoken to on a platform?
The biggest one I think it's about 4 grand.
Four-
4 grand.
4,000?
4 grand.
Yeah.
4,000 people.
4,500.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
It was great. We had a Rolls Royce actually that kind of brought us through the whole crowd. You know, that one of our team elite staff sent his driver, and you know, it was like Moses parting the sea. I mean, I get chills thinking about it. It was just such an
line.
incredible. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe they were waiting for us. I was saying, like, who are they waiting for?
Yeah.
Actually, people were waiting for hours and hours outside the building, starting in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We didn't realize. It was, what are those lines for?
Okay.
I thought it was Dan McCormick. You know, I said, Dan, he's speaking.
Sure. Well, you guys, it's an amazing thing to think about the scrolls and how such little things duplicated over and over and over. Like, I will greet this day with love in my heart. You do that 3 times a day for 30 days. You're going to feel differently about people. We got people watching right now. They're trying to grow their career, trying to grow their business. And I mean, you mentioned I will act now. How is your in the what should I say? In the throes of momentum, when you're really going hard, how does that day look for you?
Crazy.
No time to sleep, no time to eat, nothing, but so focused.
Yeah, 3 or 4 lines going. You know,
Yeah.
with texting, emailing, setting up appointments.
Yep. And
Yeah,
then,
it's exciting.
and then back then, is actually for us was difficult. But right now, you guys can just pick up the cell phone. You just
Much
do
different.
broadcasts, and you have a million people that you will be influenced by you. At that time, was one-on-one. There's no cell phone. There was a big telephone, so core to it. I remember the telephone fee was so expensive for us to do a text, write a text, so to save some money, right? And then it was the determination. Again, there's a will, there's a way. For me, it really is about what is it that you really want. The burning desire, you got to find it. Otherwise, you're not going to take massive action. Doesn't matter how big this liquid plaza is in front of you. If you don't have the desire, you're just going to sit and wait. Nobody's going to do the work for you. Only you can.
Yep.
So it's ignite, look within. What is it that you want in life? And can you see the after you put in the effort, suppose, say, whatever the amount of money you're making, what your life will be? What would that be like? How would that make your life different? What kind of dreams that would you accomplish? So, and for me in the beginning, I had no sponsor. My sponsor quit. And I was the first distributor that joined New Skin in Binghamton. So imagine that I had no support, right? I'm all by myself in Binghamton. And the reason I want to do it, really simple, because my husband at that time would not allow me to do New Skin. He thinks I will be a door-to-door Avon lady. He thinks that's beneath him. So he said, I'm so embarrassed. You're going to do New Skin. And I say, wait a minute. I see. This is my fighting spirit, okay? All I see is if someone else can become successful, I can too. All I saw was Betty and Dr. Wan and all the pioneers that become so successful, and they had nothing, and they also had no language skill, but they can become a top earner. And why not me, right? So I was determined, and then I thought, well, I have 2 choices. Either listen to my ex-husband at that time. If he say I cannot do New Skin, if I were to listen to him, what will happen? I would have to beg. I would have to rely on him to feed me because I already quit my job. I burned out at work. I remember what my mom told me. Never beg. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. So I thought, well, I'm going to do New Skin. And then he said one word. He goes, okay, go ahead, do it. Go ahead, do it with your Chinese friends. That's okay. But if you ever talk to our friends and relatives or Caucasian, our marriage ends. That is my burning desire. I said, okay, I'm going to prove it to you. So I say, well, what should I do? I don't know anyone. I cannot talk to our I have no friends because I was busy at work. For 10 years, I literally had no friends, I had no life. And it was Bill Hyman's tape. It's not the how, it's the why. And the prospecting and recruiting. So from that tape, I say, okay, I'm the CEO. What do I need to do? Go out, talk to people? Okay. I will go out in the mall. There are people, the only mall. So that I made up my mind. I'm going to make the biggest check ever that's bigger than what my ex-husband makes per month. That's all I do. I had no idea about the compensation plan. I had no sponsor, right? I don't know. I just thought, if I take action, the money going to come. And I said, well, I'm going to go out, talk to 10 people. They get 10 names. And then we have a Franklin planner. And thank God, that is the best thing. Back then, we joined $25.
It was great.
With a planner. I said, oh, okay. If I just follow the planner, hold myself accountable. If I just do 10 names a day and schedule the appointment, I do 3 to 5 presentations a day, I know I'm going to be successful. So I done it literally 7 months nonstop. In the coldness, you know how cold it was? Freezing. I said, okay, I got to get out of bed. Wipe out the snow. I'm the worst driver in the world. Eugene knows that. He won't let me drive. I said, I don't care. I can't even see with the snow like that. I got to go to the mall. It's still cold. Okay, where are my 10 people?
Wow.
That's
awesome.
Number 8 commission check. I can see the number. It doesn't matter. $6,500 a month was more than what my husband makes a month. I said,
Wow.
yes, I did. So that was massive action.
That is really awesome. I've got a friend on the screen right there. You can see his comment. I've known Stefan for 30 years, I'll bet. And just the reality of how genuine your story is. And it's just awesome as I go back and look at Gene, work ethic, service, servitude and gratitude, vision. In closing, Gene, as you speak to this audience today, and you know people are going to go through trial and struggle. You tell the shoe shine story, which Bill Toth referenced on the screen, was just awesome. But what would you say to the audience, knowing what you guys have done, knowing what you've done, knowing how hard you've worked, knowing what you've overcome, knowing that you're still on the journey? What would you say to people today that are listening that maybe haven't quite got where they want to be just yet?
Well, keep going. You know, there's another, I don't have the book in front of me, but there's another saying directly out of the book: least I act, I will perish in a life of mediocrity, misery, and failure and sleepless nights. Again, don't quote me on that. I may have left a word or two out, but the programming's there. So I would say today I begin a new life.
There you go.
And today you can. I don't care where you came from. I don't care how good your English is. And especially to people, Black, white, Hispanic, Italian, Greek, French, it doesn't matter, okay? Some of the people who have been discriminated upon, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't, unless you make it matter, okay? And of course, I lived in the day and age of a young boy where there was discrimination against Italians, but for the most part, we've kind of proven ourselves. We brought tremendous art, tremendous fashion, food. I mean, how much culture have we put into the American culture, right? So I don't really care where you came from or what happened yesterday or before that. Today, you can begin a new life. And you can start by picking up that book and getting on Dan's podcast every week. Because we've been listening to this guy for years, even before we became, friends. So, you're impacting people that are beyond, what you actually know. And who's ever listening, you guys can do that too. And that's where contribution comes in. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And, living, coming from my frame of reference where we had very little money, I always thought that wealth was about money until I finally became a little bit more wealthy and realized, for me, it's not about the money. It's about the options. It's, hey, let's go to Thailand next month and take a month off or two. Yeah. And without having to ask anybody or call anybody or worrying how we're going to pay for the flight. It's the options that it gives you. So whatever journey you're on, I'm sure some of us are in network marketing, some of us have restaurants, some of us are maybe authoring a book. Follow that dream. Again, if it's outside your comfort zone, great. You're moving in the right direction. But today I begin a new life, and I think that's what I can share with anybody who's listening in, because it's never too late. It's never too late.
That's great. I'm so glad you brought that scroll up. Scroll number 1. Well, Wen, in closing, maybe I think that you paid your mother back in spades. What is your fondest memory being with Mom?
You always ask the right question.
Well, I'm gonna shed a few tears with you on this one.
That's the best part of my business, the new skin business. I was able to go home 5-6 times a year to visit her when company decided to open up Taiwan. I was so happy. That was my dream. I want to go home, right? And I never thought New Skin would say, let's open up Taiwan. So I was able to go home 5-6 times a year to spend time with my mom before she passed away. But the best part was my mom loves to travel. So after, first 10 years was really nonstop, just working and help the company open up Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, Korea. It's nonstop. But the best part was the second 10 years. I helped my mom realize her dream. I just took her. Travel the world together for 10 years, 10 cruises.
Wow.
So and then I brought her back to China, her hometown, because with a lot of people, you guys are so lucky for what we had to go through. My mom, my dad, because the war, when the communists in China,
the Cultural Revolution,
right, that it took over. So my mom, they had to escape from China to Taiwan. But because of different government, China communist, Taiwan is a democratic government. But because of communists, my mom were not allowed to talk to their relatives for almost 40 years.
Wow.
No message, nothing. Could not go back to their homeland. But later on, when the relationship between China and Taiwan was more opening up, my mom, her dream was to go home. So I took her home before she passed away.
That's what life's all about.
Wow. That's a beautiful thing.
That's not a question today, then.
All the money in the world, it's the greatest thing because you can buy memories for your family, and you guys have just shared so many. You've touched a lot of hearts here today, and I'm just thrilled that we're friends. I'm thrilled that you share the passion for people. You share the passion that I have for the great book and the Augmentino lifestyle, or I should say philosophy for writing and living and treating people. And I know that we have a lot of people that feel very strongly about your contribution here today and how genuine and authentic and real you are. And there's Bill saying, and that's really what our business is all about. There's so much love coming out of you. And I really appreciate you guys being here today. And for all of our guests, we hope you'll share, and invite others to be a part of our podcast each and every Wednesday. And, if you want to find Wen Rosencrans, you just go to Facebook, type that name in, and you're going to see her, and you're going to see all the great things that she does. And I know that a lot of you that are listening today have really felt the love. And Sharon says it best, you just radiate the love. And Gene, thank you so very much for your contribution. Wen, you guys are terrific. I hope everybody goes out and makes it the greatest day of your life. We'll be back next week with another outrageous guest. at a separate hour next week. Pay close attention. We're going to go across the pond. So pay attention. We'll be going on Wednesday morning, I believe. And if you're live with us here today, you can tell people about that. Otherwise, I hope everybody goes out and has the greatest day of your life. Thank you very much, Krista. Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Wen. Bye for now, everybody.